Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar. We'll have a look at the weather warnings, as we have actually got numerous warnings issued over the next few days for the run up towards Christmas Day, as we're going to see a whole range of conditions. We've got snow and ice warnings, we've got wind warnings, and we also have heavy rain warnings as well. So you're generally going to see a pretty stormy picture with areas of colder air starting to push in from the north, which is why we have those snow warnings issued for parts of Scotland. We'll be able to have a look at the latest from the UKV, looking at this in detail, the latest temperatures, precipitation and wind gusts as well. And then we'll have a look at the longer range, what is in store for the rest of 2023 and the start of 2024 from the GFS, GM, ECWF and the ensembles. It is looking like it's going to be cooling down as we progress towards New Year's Day. And to start the new year, we do actually look pretty chilly. Nothing crazy cold at this stage, but definitely a good few degrees below average, giving the opportunity of areas of winteriness or at least frost, and generally much colder conditions than what we have now. Temperatures back down into the mid to low single digits instead of the low teens like we have at the moment. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now if you start on the live radar, you can see the huge contrast we have at the moment. We've got a big area of rain pushing in for parts of Scotland, where on its leading edge it has turned into a big band of heavy snow. Now overnight, last night, much of it across Scotland was falling as snow, but now it really is only the northern and eastern tips where temperatures are still close to freezing, whereas 20 miles southwards and westwards it's around 5-6 degrees. So a very strong temperature contrast here, and that's why we're seeing a whole range of conditions from snow to mixing, and you can see even over the higher ground of Scotland here it is falling as rain, as this is a very big wedge of mild air coming up against a very cold block of air. So it's very strong temperature contrast, it's giving very heavy precipitation, but also a very steep change from snow all the way to heavy rain. Now it will all turn to rain by the rest of this afternoon through the evening, as mild conditions do move in, but as the weather front pulls away again, colder air will sink back southwards as we progress through Christmas Eve in towards Christmas Day. Further southwards, it's a lot milder, temperatures around the 12, 13 or even 14 degree mark, and generally pretty dry, but a few patches of rain and light drizzle over southwest England, Wales and the higher ground of northern England. Now if you put on the temperatures, you can see the massive contrast. If you look across much of England, Wales, Ireland and Northern Ireland, lots of yellows, temperatures that we would normally associate with spring or autumn, temperatures around the 12, 13, 14 degree mark. But if we shift northwards, look at this, a tiny slither of bitterly cold air across northern and eastern Scotland, as that colder air mass is slowly getting pushed away, still towards freezing for much of northern and eastern Scotland, but it is progressively going away, and all of this area will be well above freezing, maybe 10 or 11 degrees by this evening, and all that snow will likely melt. If we do have a look at the past 24 hours snowfall here, you can see we've seen a lot of snow across northern and eastern Scotland. Over the higher ground, 10-20 centimetres has been seen, but again it's not hanging around by this evening, and most of it will have melted, or will be in the process of being melted. If we do look at the weather warnings, we have got through today snow and ice warnings issued for northern and eastern Scotland that expire in a couple of hours' time, and again we're looking at quite a lot of snow over higher ground, 2 to 5 centimetres across low-lying areas, as I said, dissipating away, and it's being replaced by a rain warning, which is being issued and expires later tonight around midnight. As the snow dissipates away, it just leaves lots of heavy rain. It's not that the precipitation is disappearing, it's the freezing level is rising. So snow stopping around 3-4 p.m. this afternoon and being replaced by heavy rain. Especially for these western areas, 20 to 50 millimetres over high ground, maybe 80 to 100 millimetres over the highest areas. Further southwards, we've got a rain warning issued for parts of Wales. Comes into force later this evening, so no precipitation at the moment. But later this evening, overnight tonight, into Christmas Eve, more heavy rain is going to be coming in. 20 to 40 millimetres widely, maybe 60 to 80 millimetres If we go into Christmas Eve, we've got a pretty stormy picture. We've got heavy rain warning that you can see across northern parts of Wales, and then we've got 2 wind warnings. We've got this wind warning issued for parts of East Midlands up towards northeast England from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. Strong, very gusty winds may cause some travel disruption during Christmas Eve. Small adjustments to the warning area, which now excludes Leicestershire, so slight shift in the exact positioning, but overall not a big change for today. 40 to 50 miles per hour quite widely, maybe 60 miles per hour in a few locations, and then maybe over 70 miles per hour in a few locations, which is really quite strong winds for these areas, and specifically on Christmas Eve as well, where people might be travelling to relatives, to other houses for the Christmas period. It could be a lot of disruption. So if you have got the opportunity to travel today, I probably would travel today if you are in these areas. If not, then of course leave extra time, as there could be, as I said, disruption. And then for pretty much all of Scotland, we've got a wind warning issued from midday until midnight tomorrow. Again, quite a lot of strong winds here, 50 to 60 miles per hour quite widely, perhaps as high as 70 miles per hour in a few locations. Very high likelihood, but still lower end of the impact matrix. So again, there is the risk of seeing maybe even an amber warning issued simply because it is Christmas Eve, so impacts could be higher. But at this stage, I would have expected the amber warning to have been issued in this morning's update, so I suspect it will remain as a yellow warning. As we progress through Christmas Day, through to Boxing Day, and the days beyond that, we haven't got warnings issued yet, but have a look at the latest UKV, which we'll see in a minute. It does look likely that we will see more warnings issued, as it is going to remain fairly gusty with areas of heavy rain and perhaps even some more heavy snow for maybe parts of northern England, but most likely for parts of Scotland. So if you do have a look at the latest UKV, you can see that heavy snow across northern and east of Scotland now getting pushed away and really getting confined to the far northern and eastern tips for this afternoon, dissipating away completely. Heavy rain moves in for all, and that's why we've got that rain warning issued for northern Wales as we start to see some heavy rain there, and overnight just generally quite a horrible picture as we head into Christmas Eve. For Christmas Eve, generally in the day, the south is going to be quite a drizzly, drab picture. Doesn't look too horrible through the afternoon, but lots of thick cloud and lots of light patches of rain. Further northwards, showers moving in, but more sunshine, so probably makes those showers a little bit more worth it. Through the evening, that rain eventually clears the south coast, and it goes fairly dry, but a little bit colder across northern Scotland, with snow showers starting to come in. As we progress into Christmas Day, though, that rain really emerges across the southwest, and it means for most of Christmas Day, it's going to be a pretty horrible picture. Heavy rain around in places, and generally just lots of thick cloud. And further northwards, we have got colder air, so maybe we could even see an area of heavy snow for a time. Around the 3 to 6 p.m. point, we see a line of heavy showers sort of skirting through the central belt of Scotland. Rain further southwards, but across the higher ground of Scotland, maybe central Scotland, even to low-lying areas perhaps, it is looking a little bit more marginal, but perhaps we could see some heavy snow, and it could mean that for a small area of the British Isles, we could see a really quite white Christmas through the afternoon into the evening as that area of showers move through. It dissipates through the evening and, as I said, moves away and remain fairly cold across Scotland with more heavy snow showers packing in. So it's going to be a fairly mild, drab picture for most areas, but for some areas of Scotland it could be a pretty festive Christmas Day indeed for the weather conditions. As we head into Boxing Day, it's looking like a little bit of a better day. Still lots of thick clouds, so not going to be a lot of sunshine around, unfortunately, but it is looking pretty dry. Through the evening, though, more heavy rain spreads in, and remember, we still got cold air in the north, and this is where we could see some quite heavy transient snow. Initially across parts of northern England, some really heavy snow there over higher ground. Again, will be very marginal because big wedge of milder areas moving in, but coming up into that colder air, could see some heavy snow in places, and then some further heavy snow across much of Scotland there. Initially to low-lying areas, but more confined to higher ground as that weather front sweeps through. And then as we head into the 28th, snow continuing to fall across Scotland, but looking pretty horrible, wet and windy further southwards with lots of heavy showers. So pretty horrible, stormy, unsettled, whatever you want to call it, in the south over the next few days. But further northwards across Scotland, yes, it's not going to be wintry the whole time, definitely looks like there's going to be multiple opportunities for quite a bit of snow and quite a lot of wintry conditions through the festive period. If you do look at the wind gusts, it is, yes, going to be pretty unsettled for all areas. Whether it's rain or snow falling out of the sky, there's going to be strong winds. As you can see through Saturday today, winds are gusting around the 40-50 mile per hour point, but it's really into tomorrow where they pick up quite significantly. 50-60 miles per hour quite widely for northern areas, maybe peaking around 70 or 80 miles per hour through the middle of the afternoon to the latter part of the to the early part of the evening. So really, when people might start to be travelling. Yeah, so not looking good. If you are travelling through Northern England, through Scotland, please do watch those warnings and do, of course, perhaps leave earlier in the day or leave longer time, or leave more time, to travel, as it is looking, really quite windy out there. So there is quite a high chance of seeing some disruption. Through Christmas Eve and towards Christmas Day, the winds do die down. So luckily for Christmas Day, it doesn't look too stormy initially. But then as we get into the afternoon, could be a area of stronger winds for England or Wales there as that rain moves through. But really only 40 or 50 mile per hour gusts there. Nothing too crazy. In towards Tuesday, Boxing Day, it looks like probably the best day over the next few days. Generally dry, generally winds a little bit less gusty as well. Towards the single digits for wind gusts here, and then could turn stormy once again into Wednesday and Thursday with that big band of rain, sleet and snow moving in. If you look at the max temperatures, you can see very cold across Scotland at the moment, but it is getting much milder, and by the evening all areas are around the 9-10 degree mark. And as I said, for northern and eastern Scotland, around the midnight point it's 8, 9, 10 degrees, so very mild overnight tonight. Into Christmas Eve, for all in the afternoon, it's going to be fairly mild. Temperatures maybe 13 or 14 degrees. Again, I don't know what the records are, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is touching record-breaking temperatures for Christmas Eve. It's going to be incredibly mild out there, 13, 14 degrees. Huge change to what we were thinking a week or two ago. And it's all because that wind direction is slightly altered because the jet stream it's just pushed in an orientation to bringing southwesterly winds instead of the northwesterly or northerly winds we thought a week or two ago. As we progress into Christmas Day, it does turn colder from the north, so Christmas Day could be a little bit more seasonable for Scotland. As I said, we got that potential risk of snow there. And then into Christmas Day afternoon, you see 11, 12 degrees further southwards, freezing further northwards. So really a country of two halves, freezing cold wintry in the north, very mild and unsettled in the south. Into Boxing Day, it's going to be a much fresher feel. Temperatures perhaps around the 6, 7, 8 degree mark. So pretty seasonal, average sort of temperatures and turning dry. So again, Boxing Day is looking like a pretty decent day. But then as we head into the 27th and the 28th, cold initially further northwards and then it's turning very unsettled. And could be quite a lot of issues through the 27th and 28th. Again, we will update that nearer the time as we get more information in. Now, after you keep up to date with the longer term, as we have a look on the latest GFS, you can see we've got westerly winds coming in at the moment. And that's giving us a generally very unsettled and stormy picture through the next couple of days. Initially, winds are going to be coming in from the north behind the back edge of these lows. That allows that colder air to come in for Scotland, but we've not got any sustained blocking, so it doesn't allow the wind to get further southwards, and that's why it stays milder further southwards. As we progress, though, beyond Christmas Day, through Boxing Day and head towards the new year, you can see the jet stream does drop southwards, so it will mean that it's not likely to be as mild as it is now. It's likely to be more around the average point, and that does bring the risk of more snow for northern areas. As we progress beyond that towards the new year, there is definitely looking like a real chance that we could shape up a period of below average temperatures, maybe even significantly below average temperatures in some areas. We can see northerly winds with a bit of a mid-Atlantic ridge starts to set up here, and it definitely does allow colder air to build in for the New Year's period. And look what happens to this low. The jet stream is dropping all the way down towards Spain and Portugal, and that means this low rides much further southwards, and that could even bring the risk of some wintriness further southwards, dare I say. Beyond that, high pressure tries to build in, and then right towards the end of the run, it does go milder as we see the westerly winds starting to come back in, as that high pressure system is not as far westwards as it initially was. We'll see this on the ensembles in a minute with those upper air temperatures, but definitely looking like perhaps a good 5, 6, 7 day sort of cooler spell there from the end of this year into the start of 2024. Not 100% guaranteed at this stage, but definitely that's what it's shaping up on the latest runs. If you look at the GM though, again, westerly winds pretty unsettled and stormy over the coming days. The jet stream starts to push southwards beyond the end of the new year. Before the end of this year and then to the new year, the westerly winds try to push back in. Again, jet stream still slightly further southwards, but not quite as far southwards in the GFS, so it is turning probably slightly milder there as we head towards the first couple of days of the new year. If we compare to the ECMWF, again, westerly winds continue to come in at the moment. The jet stream slowly pushes southwards as we head towards the end of the year, and you can see that jet stream down towards central France here. And again, it just allows slightly colder air to sink further southwards. You see that the -5 line is more in, and you see the 0 degree line as well to our south. So generally, fresher air, nothing crazy cold, but fresher. And you can see it right towards the end of the year. Again, jet stream dropping southwards, but right towards day 10 again, jet stream out in towards the central part of France. And that does mean that, yes, we will still see milder sectors, but they won't dominate anywhere near as much as they are at the moment. And we can see this quite well on the latest ensembles. Generally well above average at the moment, but trending lower, and by the end of the year and start of the new year, we're generally looking at average or below average. The GFS there is pretty sustained below average, other runs not quite as confident as to be that sustained, and that is probably due to that sliding low we saw other runs actually bringing that low in, allowing a milder sector in for a day, whereas the GFS allows it to slide, bringing the risk of snow and that cold air remaining in place. So it is generally looking cooler and fresher as we end the year and start 2024. Potential for winteriness and snow and things like that, but again, we'll have to see the models agree on sort of a coherent pattern before we call anything with that. And if we do compare to the ECMWF, of course, see what that is showing. Again, general trend towards average or slightly below average into the new year. Again, though, no concrete ideas exactly how it will play out, as the ensembles are still a little bit up and down. So it is looking very unsettled, pretty disruptive over the next few days. More range of conditions, snow looking likely to continue to dominate through some areas today before disappearing tonight, and then perhaps re-emerging through Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and the subsequent days for Scotland and maybe Northern England as well. And then elsewhere over the next few days, lots of rain and wind as well, especially through tomorrow. So lots of disruptive weather around the Christmas period. So make sure you do keep up to date with the warnings and do stay safe up there if you are travelling. Of course, it is only yellow warnings, no amber or red warnings, so no significant warnings, but still, nonetheless, yellow warnings are still dangerous and can cause significant disruption in places. So do make sure you take the necessary precautions, and of course I'll keep you up to date with the longer term as well, because I know lots of people are still going to be wanting something a bit wintry, and definitely is looking at a possibility into the new year, whether it's sort of the natural patterns that we are seeing emerging now, or of course the risk of a sudden stratospheric warming, which many of you may have seen rumbling around at the moment. Again, we'll probably put an update out on that in the next few days, but I don't want to do it too premature because we have done it premature before and the models revert after a couple of days. So we'll wait until we've got another couple of days of concrete data, and then we'll start to report on it to see exactly what could happen as we head into the new year. But just a heads up, it does look like there is a real possibility, or it looks likely we'll see a very big weakening of the polar vortex, and there is a real possibility now, maybe even a 50-50 chance or higher, that we see a reversal of the zonal wing winds, which would give an increased chance of cold weather through the second half of the winter. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you again for another video soon.